friend of mine who was involved with this said, what about, says there's a job going in Johannesburg smuggling diamonds. He said it's a quite big job. It's about, I think it was about $10,000. I thought, diamonds? That sounds all right. That doesn't sound too illegal or too. I mean, they were only at this point they were only smuggling marijuana. I'm from Southport originally. Beautiful little village, crossings, brought up in absolute. It feels perfect when you look back, but we were skint same as everybody else. In the 70s. It's only looking back, like talking about with my sisters, realise how little we had. But you really didn't realise you had little. We didn't have a fridge. We didn't have all the obvious things that you didn't have. Telephone in the house. Like central heating, you name it, we didn't have it. But you just didn't know, we were just out playing as kids, and it was very, I loved it when I think back. But I moved to Blackburn when I was 10 into a pub, 78, in like the boom of the punk years, and we had bands playing upstairs and everything. It was superb at first, but then it soon went pretty downhill, moving from a nice area to a shithole, basically, a rough shithole.
When did you decide to start travelling the world?
I had a normal family life, beautiful house over in Waddington. Again, I had the perfect scenario, but it went wrong. It went tits up through affairs. I'll leave it at that. But I'm not playing the blame game to anybody. But from then on. When my brother went to the Philippines, I went with him when I was 25, and when I went there with him, I think I got the bug then, and after that I ended up settling down. But then by the time I think it was 31, I was on the second failure, and I thought, sod it, I want to go travelling more, and because it's a way of escape and dealing with. Like once you go away from there, you get on that plane, it's like all the things that are going on, they're so easy to forget. It's very hard, like a lot of people do it here, go on the whiplash, on the beer, which I did. But you're coming home, you're still home, aren't you? There's something about getting in a plane, going to a country that's completely different, that helps you, and it does help you. Back then I was a randy little bastard, and it was just it's on a plate for you. Also, not just that, I really went there for the adventure. I like jungle trekking, and I love lifting rocks up looking for lizards and swimming. Just adventure, and everything was quite excess, and then it was dirt cheap then.
How did you meet the Iranians, and how did you start smuggling?
I've been going for a few years, and I knew people that had ended up doing it, and I used to say to you must be friggin' nuts. Now, I'm a bricklayer by trade, and I've always had that, and other people that have had trades, or I used to say, just go home and work for a bit. Yeah, so we've all read the books, the classic, and a lot of them are Thai. You think, have you not, are you nuts? Just go home and work for a bit. So I was always of that attitude. Honestly, I used to try to talk my mates out of it. But then as the years went by, and everybody were getting away with it, and I ended up water skiing, and I crushed my head, and I trapped a nerve in my neck. All my tricep had gone, and I was working in Australia at the time, and I couldn't even lift a t-shirt off. And I'm still the mindset of, I do not want to go home. I thought, fuck it, if these bastards are getting away with it, I'm gonna have a go. I had a long think about it. It weren't just like a spur of the moment thing.
How did smuggling cigarettes escalate to diamonds and heavier drugs?
So it wasn't diamonds. So when I was on my arse a bit, I was talking about going back home. A friend of mine who was involved with this said, what about, there's a job going in Johannesburg smuggling diamonds. He said it's a quite big job. It's about, I think it was about $10,000. I thought, diamonds? That sounds all right. That doesn't sound too illegal or too. I mean, they were only at this point they were only smuggling marijuana, which I think there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. You know, the sooner it's all legalised, the better. It's the risk reward, innit? So I was saying, look, what happens if you get caught with diamonds? At this, I'm presuming it's tax evasion. This was like before the film Blood Diamond, so you didn't realise how bad actually the diamond shit going on in South Africa is. You think it's a harmless thing, but I did anyway. Anyway, we kept on talking about it, this and that. And as the kind of weeks went by, I was making a bit of a joke about it being like a Pink Panther, like a diamond smuggler. And eventually my mate said to me, so you are joking about the diamond thing, aren't you? I said, no. I said, what do you mean joking? He said, when we say diamonds, we don't mean actual diamonds, we mean crystal meth. I'm going, I said, no, I presume you meant diamonds with it being South Africa. He said, no, you daft bastard. Have you never heard of crystal? I said, no, I haven't. I've never even seen crystal meth in my life. And I said, what? I said, well, I'm out of that one. I said, but there is a good job. This is to Japan with a good friend of mine who'd done it a few years before to Japan. And he told me about it, and it was dodgy, but obviously he was going to do it again. He was saying how strict they are, but it was a lot more money, Japan, than Europe. And I'm thinking I'm only going to do this once. If I'm going to do it once, I want to earn as much money as I can, and then just never do it again. Hopefully by then my shoulder's bare, I can get back flashing the bricks in and get back to a normal life. So that was the start of the downfall.
What's the process of smuggling and how does it feel when you're doing it?
The first time was to Japan, 4 years before I got caught. The basic principle of it is you go to Nepal, Kathmandu, the bags are already made up, and these bags to Japan are absolutely mint. They're not the same going to Europe. There's a lot more in Europe, and there's less chance of getting caught, as in the airports, so make sure that the kind of walkthroughs. But in Japan, they're guaranteed, if you carry a few bags, that one of them will get searched and felt. So what we basically did, we took loads of bags, hoping that the bag with the cannabis in wouldn't get, anyway, that didn't work. Every single bag got felt and x-rayed, but it passed. These bags are unbelievable. So basically you go, pick them up, when you drop them off, you don't have a contact number until through the Iranians, you get the new number and you end up meeting some dodgy character in a dodgy area, and it's a bit tweaky. But that is, but it is a bit of relief once it's all handed over and passed over, like, thank God for that. I was only ever going to do it the one time, that's why I wanted to go to Japan for the bigger money. That was me out. And I didn't do it for 4 years. 3.5 years before I did it again.
How did you get caught and what happened?
Nobody fully knows. I have a good idea how I got caught, but it's a dodgy business with dodgy people, and things happen through other people, going over other people. Basically, my mate's trying to screw over the Iranians. That's how I got caught.
What is Japan's prison system like, and what was the initial few days like?
Well, the initial few days, in shock. I was in shock for a long time. To be honest, to this day, when I look back at it, it all feels still like a dream. It was a very dream state. I've been there before, so I know a little bit about the culture. And I'd just done that holiday. When I say holiday, it was dropping drugs off, but after that we did like a couple of weeks holiday. Enjoying Japan because it's a beautiful country. But being put in a prison there is obviously nothing like what Japan is like. It was surreal. First I was in the police station, which is probably more like the Western world, maybe like the American prison system. I actually got arrested at the hotel. They take you to the police station. You're interviewed for maybe an hour or so first. You're also, I was being interviewed at the hotel when I'm arrested. So it's all going, but really, I had a plan that I stuck to of, it was my first time, I'll hold my hand up, it's just 2 kg of cannabis. I'm sorry. As long as they didn't go into it too much, I would have been fine. And really, I was at the end of the day. Because I've been there 4 years before, I didn't want them pulling that back up saying, well, you've obviously been doing it. In the interview, thankfully, they was going down the wrong path all the time. Because I ended up doing it all over Europe as well. And I think it was 5 times altogether. But I was also going Hong Kong and Macau a lot, doing my visa. And I was working in Australia, bricklaying and playing poker. They were more concerned about that, which was kind of legit. So I didn't mind them. They never even bothered about me going to Japan like 4 years before. And so, although the questions were, they were quite on you because they were going down the wrong path, I was fine with it. But so in between that, I've gone to the police cell, which apparently is the same cell that Paul McCartney was in the early 80s, cell 1. They said he was in it. I don't know if it was true or not. I've tried to find out. He was 100% in then. I think he was in there for maybe 20 days. Same cannabis, but he got out. Money talks. But he didn't have a lot, but enough. He should have got a sentence for it even back then.
How did you survive a foreign prison and how did you overcome?
Well, I was almost broken. You know, like you get so far down, the only way is up. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of just self-encouragement because you're in an environment where you can't talk, you can't speak to other people, and you sat with your legs that way, like you're in a lot of yoga positions. Solitary confinement is probably the worst thing about it. In Japan, it is severe solitary deprivation, senses deprivation. There's just like the lights on all the time. It does go off at 9 till 6. The cell has nothing in it other than a little table, a little square mat, and you have to sit on that. There's a futon there with your bed in, but it's all military. The first bit of solitary was in the detention centre, Chiba, which in some ways is worse than Fuchu. I wasn't mentally prepared for Chiba. I heard Chiba was a doddle, good food, a TV, all this absolute nonsense. So I've gone in there presuming it was going to be a move up from the police station, which ended up being hell. But it was horrendous. It was so cold. So not just the isolation when it's like maybe -1 degrees, but -1 in a concrete cell. I've never felt cold like it. It's a weird cold. And the isolation, so the window at the back, it's a big window, like a small bedroom, so it's fist to fist, small window at the back, but it's blacked out there. So you've no idea what time it is. You've got 3 meals a day, and then the light goes off at 9 o'clock at night. So they're the only pointers of the day that you've got. I mean, eventually, there was a shadow coming through. I would mark on the shadow, I made myself a clock. Try and get control of some kind of, I had a way of like, just passing the time, of counting the minutes, and trying to get it, literally, that was my game. Making a clock. And over the days, I was changing it and moving it. No, the one Mississippi, two Mississippi. I was learning Japanese at the same time, so I'm going Ichi Mississippi, ni Mississippi. But I say for the first 3 days, honestly, it's like a lifetime. It's like looking back at 3 years, and I couldn't sleep in the end as well. I couldn't eat. So the only thing that was the food was good in there, which was a bit of a. It was weird on the head with the food being good. Like I got a carton of Ribena and it was nice food anyway, and actually plenty. But you're not doing anything. You were allowed out. I think I got out after 4 days up on the roof in like a dog pen, up and down like dog pen thing. But for them 3 days, it was just so bizarre. I started to think I've been put in punishment because I heard it was okay what I was going to. I thought I must be in the wrong place. You sat down like that. You're not allowed to speak or ask anybody what's going on. But you can, it's called a ganseng, a little piece of paper that you write a question on, you pull like a buzzer thing down, and you give it to them, and it goes off. Honestly, they might as well make a paper plane out of it, because you know, like the day after you're thinking, like I said, one day lasts forever. So maybe hours and hours you're going, excuse me, is you know, the thing, it's a different guard, and they just write down. And you soon realise this is going nowhere. And then you end up saying, please can I see the embassy? Please can I, and they're always saying, Wakare now, dame. I don't know. You cannot. Don't speak. Stop doing this. And they're thinking.
What gangs are there in the prisons, and what codes do they follow, and how did you all coexist?
We are all in the same boat. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter how high you are in the Yakuza. Other than you will get a better job, only because you're probably smarter or more business minded, or you can read and write. More educated, basically. It's got nothing to do with the of how high you are in the Yakuza ranking. They're the only really gang that's in there, organised crime. It was actually, there's a lot of Chinese in there. As a foreigner, you're known as FQ. When you go in a factory, you're put in an isolated factory, and that's your group. I was Nijusan 23. As maybe 10% foreigners, half of them will be Chinese. Then they got one Brit, American, South African, Colombian. But a lot of the criminals that from Hong Kong, they're just criminals. In there, we're all even. My mate Kimura, he was one of the big leaders, but he was like the factory boss. But only because he was a smart bloke. His English wasn't too good. Most of the Japanese, their English isn't very good, especially in the prison. But they were keen to learn. They were all very friendly with me. They being English, they found it interesting more than other countries for some reason.
How did it feel when you got let out?
Well, before that, I was told. So I signed for the flight. They were going to pick me up. The British Embassy were absolutely amazing. They really did help me as much as they could. They come and see me every 3 months, and they get me books, and they did whatever they could. But like everybody else, nobody can do sweet FA really. Nobody, even them, they don't even know fully what's going on. They get their information through talking to other people in the prison. It's super it's secret really. So they organised, there was 2 prison officers came over, picked me up and took me to Wandsworth. But before that, it was when the World Cup in South Africa was on, and he told me, wink wink nudge nudge, that I'll get back to England before the World Cup, because they're not allowed to tell you when you come home. Anyway, the World Cup came and went, and that absolutely brought me. I've got no contact with anybody. I've been positive, I've been strong, I've got myself fit, I was super fit. You know, almost 2 years, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no nothing, no fast food, just healthy eating. But them few weeks I went downhill, I was like, no, I can't handle this anymore, just get me out of here. Basically what went wrong is that volcano in Iceland, they cancelled all the flights. And I presume that my flight was one of them. And that's what ballsed it all up. Anyway, eventually, I had good friends that when I was stopped running around the track, we had like an hour's 45-minute, if you were in the factory, a bit of exercise. I was just walking around thinking I can't handle this anymore. And I've got friends that are in there for like 10 years plus saying, Steve, come on, you know, you're going home. You nearly got me going then.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Take your time, man.
Yeah. It does get emotional, mate, you know. Yeah, just a sec, fucking hell. When I like, you know, I'm reliving it, I felt so sorry for them. Because they were in there for a lot longer.
Yeah.
But they're saying to me, come on, fucking get your shit together. Whereas like all the time before, I was always the strong one saying, mate, we can get through this. I used to say to a lot of them, like my mate Paul, so it's like a clique. We got arrested the same day. Really good. He's the only person I'm still in contact with. He got 10 years and I got 5 years. And he was like a really nice family man. Well, after the debacle of the first flight being cancelled, I'm at breaking point. Eventually, another one of the Yakuza bosses who was like the secretary. So you can't speak at any time, but we had little moments where we could do a little bit of mime. You learn to mime. It's amazing what you can learn to do. Little signals. And the guy said to me, he said, it was in Japanese, it's in Ashtem, it's tomorrow. He said, tomorrow, you move the factory, you're going away for 5 days, it's in your fly on Thursday. He says, Thursday, fly. But he says, shh, don't say that I've said anything. But I said, I promise you, you're flying on Thursday. I was like, oh my God. I knew this was real. So eventually, when you have lunch in the factory, you've got to sit there, eyes closed. They come, you eat rapid, eyes closed, then they say, right, you can speak. So you're there with your, now like friends really. So I said my goodbyes, and you know what, in the factory, I got to, through being in a tug of war team, and we had like 1 day's Olympics, there was a few days where you could bond with each other. Even the guards, as strict as they were, we ended up being a unit. The main guard did a speech and wished me well, and they all like gave me a clap. And getting emotional now thinking about that. Yeah, it was very emotional, but it was like sayonara, get me the hell out of here. In the morning, I was told to face away from the front, and I was told to stay there. The guys left, and then they took me to back. And when it's a big web, it's Fuchu. It's you get lost. Only until looking back on Google Earth, I realised where I was. You never knew how big it was. It was all part of the confusion. They had this confusion over you all the time. I was accidentally, or I don't fully know why, but I was put what can only be described as the mental asylum block. Hogobo it's called. I found out recently. Now it's not an asylum. It's confusing and it's quite dark, this place. Anyway, I realised they put me in there. I thought, right, what's going on here? Why would they put me? I thought, right, are they trying to break me, or the final like kicking the knackers as a warning? So I'm stripped, as in I've no reading, writing. I'm back to solitary for them final few days, which in some ways I'm kind of glad. When I look back, I'm kind of glad they did it. Because I was like back to my old self at this point, because I knew there's no way that flight is booked. There's 2 officers coming over. There's nothing. They're not going to send me to punishment. They're not. Or even if they do, it's like I'm in punishment. But I started then like press up shadow boxing. They were coming up to the door saying, no, you cannot. And I was just saying, giving them the English no thank you. And these officers don't know what's going on as well. They just think we've got a lunatic here he's here because he's not following orders. But I'm just thinking, I'm going to do what the hell I want. Just moving around, exercising, using buckets of water for weights and stuff. 4 o'clock in the morning, they're going to come. You'll get a miso soup breakfast, and then we're going to take you to the police station. And the guy that took me, they used to wear masks then, but a little pot mark. He must have been one of the bosses on that Hogobo block. He come and took me. We went, you're cuffed and roped up, but they released it on the bus. And they even took me to a Starbucks, got me a coffee. I said, are you the guy that helped me? He said, yeah. And, I'm off again there.
It's alright.
It's alright. So you're the guy that helped me. So this guy was down. We got to the airport. 2 officers, Southerners, a white guy and a black guy. They might have seen pictures of me or photographs of me when I was arrested. I was probably similar to what I am now, around about 90 kg. I was down to 75 kg at this point. Even though I'm super fit, maybe in my head, I was 11.5 stone. And I've been on Valium for 2 years at this point. Anyway, so I kind of feel well, but obviously I don't look well. The officer put his arm on my shoulder. He says, you're with us now. And he did swear. He said something to them guys like, sod you. He says, right, he's with us now. This was like in a no man's land underneath the airport. The embassies there, their officials there, they're 2 Tanto stands they're called, officers. There are 2 officers. It was kind of good. But I had to say to these officers that, looks, mate, I says, these guys are really sound. So it's not like, I'd like to, I didn't say show it more respect. And I did say, I was fairly decent in Japanese by then. I did say, thank you to the guys, thank you. And that was it. I'm dressed in my own civilian clothes by then. When I got changed, I put my jeans on, the belt, it must have been about that big, the new notch that they put in. So I'm there with these baggy clothes and realised how thin I am. The guys just said, listen, we'll go on first. They all know what the crack is. We'll go at the back. So just don't drink, and you can do anything what you want, basically. Just don't. It said, but if you do anything wrong at all, we'll have to restrain you. He said, we've never had to do it. I said, don't worry, mate, don't worry. I was just so, sat in the real world with real people. Yeah, the TV screen, I was listening to like The Doors, and I wasn't bothered about a drink at all. I was just more bothered about having a coffee and just being free, and the feeling of that plane taking off. I mean, I know I'm going into Wandsworth, but I really didn't give a shit. In fact, I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to the madness. What I presume, I'd never been in prison before in my life at this point. I've done the odd cells, night in the cells for, fighting and things like that. But the guard said, he says, you seem like a good guy. Just keep your head down and you'll get your Cat D, which is an open prison, pretty soon. Like when I was in Japan, I was saying, like, be positive, be strong. It's just cold, you're just hungry. You'll be fine. You'll be soon, in the English system, I was saying, get your Cat D, you'll be soon. You'll be all over with. It's almost done to get your Cat D.
What does your life look like now?
Well, it's far from perfect, I'll tell you that. I mean, mentally, I think some ways it helped me, some ways it probably didn't. Now, it's took me, I've been writing the book with my best mate we're going on 4 years doing this. It probably took me only 6 months to a year to write it down basically, but it's going through. See, I have a lot of, I had a diary there which really helped. So I wrote down the only trouble with the diary was I only wrote positive things. And when I started writing negative or thinking negative, I would get myself out of it. I would literally say, right, I'm going down the negative route here. I'm not gonna, and I always knew I wouldn't really forget the things that happened that were so negative. and I didn't want to. That was my release. Writing positivity, writing good things, remembering the. You know, it's that out for that. Imagine what I was doing this time, 4 years ago. I was doing this and that, and then I would go reliving what I did in my dream, like escapism. That's how I got through a lot of it, through escapism. I tell you, I read a book, Papillon. You know the film Papillon, and I've read the book a few times. Thank God I'd read that book, because he did 5 years in isolation. And I remember thinking, how the hell would you get through that 5 years? You know, in the film it shows him in the dark and everything. But what would that do to you? He explained how we'd go into an imaginary world and live a life. And I would basically do that. I would sit there, I would close my eyes, I would literally order a taxi, get a taxi, pick me up, get in the taxi, go to the airport, look at the big screen and go, where shall I go? Rio de Janeiro. I would get on the plane, I would almost do the whole journey, and I would live a day out in my head. And it's amazing how it actually does work. When you've like been to the Rio Carnival and been dancing, and you come away from it, you know you're not there, but you're making a world for yourself, and it absolutely works.